This week, the U.S. Supreme Court limited the federal government's authority to police water pollution in certain wetlands. By a 5-4 vote, the justices ruled in favor of an Idaho couple. Chantel and Michael Sackett objected when federal officials identified a soggy portion of their property as wetlands, which required them to get a permit before filling it with rocks and soil. The High Court said wetlands can only be regulated under the Clean Water Act if they have a continuous surface connection to larger regulated bodies of water. When it comes to the Clean Water Act, Congress never clearly defined what constitutes as the waters of the United States, or WOTUS. That left a void that the courts and the public have wrestled with ever since. Republican U.S. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa is happy to finally see a resolution. Here's KTIV's Matt Breen.
Senator, a decision by the U.S. Supreme Court has cut back on the EPA's ability to regulate wetlands under the Clean Water Act. What's your reaction to that decision on the waters of the United States?
I am grateful for this decision from the Supreme Court of the United States. I have been battling WOTUS, waters of the U.S., ever since it was put into play in the Obama administration. This rule, especially the one put into place by President Obama and then doubled down on by President Biden, it would limit the opportunity for Iowans to decide how they use their land. Just example, if you want to build a single family dwelling, you'd have to actually go get a permit from the federal government to do that under the rule that was put into place by President Obama. Unbelievable that that regulation would regulate over 97% of Iowa land, not water, land.
Then let me ask you, what's your response to the administration's assertion that the rules are needed to protect all waterways, which they say are increasingly interconnected?
I would say that we had a great rule in place under President Trump and the navigable waters regulation. Now, it was also protecting our navigable waters and immediate connecting waters, but it didn't encroach upon Iowans' rights, other landowner rights, as President Biden's rule did, as President Obama's rule did. Their rule was burdensome and it was far overreaching and really stripped away property rights from our landowners. So I am really grateful that the Supreme Court has overturned this rule, and that we should, as Congress, now go back and put back into place sensible regulation. We need to come together as Democrats and Republicans and find a way forward. Our farmers, ranchers, our small business owners, our individual property owners, they're getting whiplash with this waters of the U.S. rule. So we need to straighten it out, and we need to pass legislation through Congress.
Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa. Senator, thanks for joining us.
You betcha. Thanks so much.